Hi everybody, welcome back. Happy Saturday. Today has just been a beautiful day. The weather is gorgeous, the sun is shining, it's not too hot, not too cold. There's a light breeze. It's just been a beautiful day. Today is going to be part 2 of the greatest story ever told. But first, I think that we should talk about a couple of things. One, does it seem like I'm at a weird angle to you? Like my head isn't quite sitting right on my shoulders? That's because the corner's behind me, but I'm like ski-wampus off to the side. I really like this place in my house to film, but it's kind of a weird place, but the light is gooder than it used to be. I know gooder isn't a word, but that's what I'm using. And the sound is better. So until I can get some like more professional stuff to make videos, this is what we're working with. Show me what you're working with. Nothing. Okay, and then second, I don't know if you can tell. It's kind of hard with the lighting. Yeah, even if we went outside, it wouldn't really work. But my hair is purple. It's a very, very dark purple. You can tell if you pull back there, see all that purple dye? And if you part my hair, you can, well, you can kind of see in the part that my scalp is purple. Yeah, I dyed my hair a dark, gorgeous purple color. And when I'm outside, let's stay, bangs. When I'm outside, it gets like the tips, some of the tips and like some spots get like really, really, really bright purple, and it just is kind of amazing. And I've always wanted to have purple hair, so I went for it. But guess what else happens when you dye your hair purple? Everything else around you becomes purple. Like my hands are purple. They have a purple hue. And when I got out of the shower, I looked, after I rinsed it all off, I looked like that chick on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory who eats the, does she eat like a blueberry, oh, she eats the gum, and it's dinner, and then it's blueberry pie. That's what I looked like. You can't see it. But I have like purple streaks running like up down my body, like down my legs, my stomach. Yeah, so when you dye your hair purple, be ready to commit to everything else in your life being purple for a few days. And like I woke up this morning and there was purple on my blanket and on my pillowcase and whatever. But it's worth it to me because the person who did it, she's amazing. She is a pro, but she came to my house because she's delightful like that. Thank you, Mandy. And she said if I just wash it like another time in the shower, it will get the rest of the residue off and we can move on with our life. Like if I scratch my head, which I did earlier, see the purple in my fingernails? It's purple. Anyway, are you tired of hearing about purple? Because I'm tired of talking about it. Okay, greatest story ever heard. Part 2. Previously on the greatest story ever told. Is it told or heard? I can't remember. Anyway, previously, we left off where I asked her if I was on the phone with Bonnie, who was my birth mother, and I said, well, who we were thinking was my birth mother, and I said, did you have a baby this day, this month, this year, this place? And she said, yes, I did. And I said, well, that baby is me. And she got really quiet. And I could hear somebody else on another line crying. And I was like, hello? And she goes, how did you find me? And I immediately thought she was mad. And I almost hung up. I was scared. And I was like, and so I told her really quickly how Mary and my mom had met and just like the whole quick story. And she was like, oh, okay. And then the tone of her voice changed and I knew that she wasn't upset. And so she said, how are you? And I said, I'm good. And to tell you the truth, I really don't remember much of the conversation from then on. I went into a different room of Mary's house and, we were just talking and she said, so you live in Utah? And I said, yeah. And I said, you live in California? And she said, yeah. And I said, I kind of have always had a hunch that you were there. And I don't know why, I just had. Like, my whole life, I had just always thought that she was in California. Maybe it's because I think California is the coolest place on earth, and so in part of me imagining up this person that she was, I'd put her in California. But when I found out that she actually did live there, I was like, yeah, that's right. California blood runs in these veins. Anyway, and so we just talked and talked, and about 45 minutes into the conversation, she says, wait a minute, wait a minute. She says, what? I'm sorry, I can't stop touching it. I'm sorry. There, we're. Anyway, about 45 minutes into the conversation, she says to me, wait a minute. And I said, yeah. And she goes, what is your name? And I went, oh. And we realized I hadn't told her my name. And then I actually I got really excited to tell her what my name is. And I said, my name's Melissa. And she kind of was quiet for a second. And she said, really? And I said, yeah. And she goes, when I first found out that, when I decided to keep you, I was going to name you Melissa. And I was like, no way. And yeah, just another amazing, what's the word? Another amazing detail of this incredible story. So, we talked for a little bit more, and I said, I would really like to come and see you. And she said, yeah, that would be great. You're welcome anytime. And my mom was in the room, and I looked at my mom, and I said, just a second. And I covered up the phone, and I looked at my mom, and I said, when can we get there? And my mom said, how about tomorrow? And I was floored. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah. And we had connections with the airlines and stuff, so it was a possibility for us at the time. And so I got back on the phone. I said, is tomorrow too soon? And she said, no, come on down. And so we talked a little bit more, and I said, okay, I'll call you back when we have arrangements made, and we'll just go from there. So we yeah, I was still just floored. Even to this day, I remember the feelings that I was feeling when I got off the phone with her. I just thought, all this time, and this is how we find her. Like, holy cow. Anyway, not holy cow, holy expletive. That's really what it was. So, we make arrangements, get tickets and everything, and the next day I went through and got like a ton of pictures from when I was a baby, clear up to where I was now, which was, just a refresher, I had just turned 22, and I was fresh out of my third year of college. So I got that, and just some other little not knickknacks, just some other little things to take and show her and whatever. And I was so excited, and yeah. So got on the plane, flew to California, and we stayed in a hotel that was about a half hour away from her. I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. Because she lives in kind of an upscale, at the time she lived in kind of an upscale, expensive, like expensive for California, expensive area. And hotels near where she were astronomical. So we stayed a little bit further away. So and I had been on the phone on and off with her that whole day, just talking to her. And every time I called her, it was just amazing to me, because it was like I was talking to myself. Like, even like some of her, like the way her voice sounded, or the way she would say things, and it blew me away. And I had to like remind myself, you're talking to your birth mom. So the next day, the day after we flew in, I hardly slept the night before. I was so nervous. And I was not nervous to meet her. I was nervous that she wouldn't like me. I don't know. Well, I do know why. It's because it's that negative body image coming in again. Like, I didn't really know. Mary didn't have any recent pictures of her. The first picture that I saw of her was like 5 or 6 years old. And so, I didn't know what she looked like at that very moment in time. I didn't know if she was in better shape than I was. Because I was a bigger girl. I had put on some weight at that point, and I was just nervous. And because I got nervous, like the day before we went there, I broke out in these two huge pimples right here. I even have a scar from one of them that you can't see very well. But I like broke out, and I just was so nervous. And I took like 10 different outfits and kept changing and changing. And the outfit I decided on, I still look back and I'm like, what? I was wearing a khaki skirt with a white shirt and like a white t-shirt and like this tennis jacket, and then I wore like a bucket hat. It was crazy. Anyway, um so so we finally get ready to leave, and we leave the hotel, and the drive there, it was only a half hour long, but oh my gosh. And we were like driving along the ocean. We were driving on the Pacific Coast Highway to get to her house, and I wasn't even like paying attention to the ocean. I was just fidgeting the whole time. And I was so scared. So we finally get there, and I call her and I say, we're just pulling in, and they let us in the gate. And then she lived in like a gated community. And so um, I drive up and we park a couple cars back from her house. And my mom says, why don't you go up by yourself and I'll come up a few minutes later. Like, I'll just let you do this by yourself. And I said, okay. So I got out of the car and I just kind of stood there for a second. And then I hear this voice say, are you here? And I was like, yeah. So she comes out from behind her house, and there she is. This woman that I've been looking for the last how many years, the woman that gave birth to me, like, there she is. And it was like I was looking in the mirror. She looked just like me, and she was beautiful. She is beautiful. And I even get like a little emotional when I talk about it now, just because remembering that moment, that, yeah, it was a powerful moment in my life, one of the best moments in my life. And we both just kind of stood there and stared at each other for a second. And she said, oh my gosh, look at you. And I said, yeah, here I am. And I said, you have really pretty hair. She said, thank you. And then she said, do you want a hug? And I said, I think so. And so I walked over and she gave me a huge hug. And I think back to that moment, um, I don't know, maybe this is cheesy, but I think back to that moment because that was the first time that she'd ever held me. And I can't imagine. I've had two children, and I can't imagine what it would be like not ever holding my babies. So anyway, that was just, yeah. Anywho, so she just gave me a big hug, and we just stood there for a minute, and then she pulled away, and she kind of touched my cheekbone a little bit, and then my hair was long, and she kind of put her hand on my hair, and she said, you have my eyes. I said, yeah. And so then her mom comes out, and my biological grandmother comes out, and she takes my face in her hands and kisses me and tells me I'm beautiful and is so glad that I'm there. And she was emotional as well. And then my mom comes up behind me and introduces herself and hugs Bonnie's mom, and Bonnie and her mom invite us in. So we go in and we sit down, and we spent a few hours just talking. And I had a photo album that I had put together that we went through, and showed her some pictures and answered all of her questions. She answered mine, and just learning about each other, getting to know each other. But I remember I kept looking at her because I had never once in my life seen a person that I looked like. Like, those of you out there who, aren't adopted, it's normal for you to look like your brothers and your sisters, your cousins, your parents, your grandparents. I don't look a thing like anybody in my family. And so seeing somebody that looks like you is just, it's mind blowing. I just kept staring at her. And, her mom kept, oh my gosh, you look just like her. And it was funny because we went for a walk around their complex, and she had other relatives that lived in that same complex. And she even told me, she's like, you know, you probably have like 6 or 7 different people watching you right now. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it was funny. So, and we even like went around, and her cousin came out and she was like, Bonnie. And then I moved so that she could see me, and she's like, holy crap, it's you. And so it was just fun because we just look so much alike, and the resemblance is just uncanny. Like we never did a blood test because it was absolutely, you know, undeniable that I belonged to her. And even like in those few hours that we were talking and visiting, those first few hours, it was funny because we would finish each other's sentences, and we had the same facial expressions. We said different things the same way, different mannerisms. And yeah, anybody ever want to do a report or a paper on nature versus nurture, come talk to me. So anyway, so we went for a walk down to this place where you could sit down and look over the ocean. And it was just Bonnie and I, and we sat down, and I was looking, and I said, oh, it's so beautiful here. You're so lucky to live here. And she said, yeah. And she was staying with her mom at the time. And so we visited for a few more minutes, and then something had been on my mind, and I hadn't gotten up the nerve to ask her, but I finally just told myself in my head, if you don't ask her, you're never gonna know, and then you're gonna see. Anyway, excuse me. Yeah, I just thought, if you don't ask her, you're never gonna know. So I said, I need to ask you something, and she said, I think I have a feeling what you're gonna ask me. And I said, I want you to tell me about my dad. And that's where we're ending the story today. Okay, so I really hope that you are enjoying this story, and that I'm not boring you, and that I didn't touch my hair or look at my bangs too much. I just need to get over it. Thank you, as always, for being here. I have really just liked sharing my life with you, and I'm getting so many encouraging words and comments and thoughts, and yeah, y'all are just great. I will be coming back at you on Tuesday, and there's a few things that we might do. One of them is going to be an update on the walk to Ellen. Something kind of fun with that. And if you haven't already, will you please subscribe to my channel and go ahead and hit the like button for this awesome purple hair dye that's in my ear. Can you see it? Yeah, it's purple all around. Hit like for purple. Yeah. Okay. Thank you again for being here. I can't thank you enough. Every viewer that I get just warms my heart. And enjoy the day. Bet y'all thought I forgot. The winner of my very first giveaway, my selfie giveaway, and my kind of happy 30th day on YouTube to me giveaway is Piper. Piper submitted her gorgeous selfie, and she shared my page, and she left a comment on my blog, and she won. So Piper, please PM me your address, and I will get your Parents Magazine and your little thing of goodies off to you right away. Thanks to all those who entered and shared their fun selfies with me. I had a blast looking at all of them, and it was fun to introduce you guys to my fun blog. So I'll be seeing you again soon. Bye!